Good morning, guys, and today we are going to be having a look at some interview questions that you might get in a teaching interview when you go for a job at a primary school as an NQT. So this is going to be probably a 3, maybe even a 4-part series of videos, because there are a lot of questions you get asked and there's a lot of kind of answers you need to go over, talk about in terms of what things you might want to say back to them to say, yeah, this is what I want to do, this is who I am, this is why I want to be a teacher, all that kind of stuff. And so hopefully this will be really helpful if you are prepping for an interview, and it's just a way to kind of practice, and just make sure you do practice. Make sure you practice your answers to these questions. Don't walk into your interview absolutely blind, not knowing what you want to say to each question. Have an idea. I wouldn't say have a script. I think it's never worked for me, having a script of something you want to say, because then I get flustered if I forget something that I need to say in a certain point. But just have a brief idea, some bullet points of what you want to say for each question, and make sure you practice them at home with someone, so then you are ready when you walk in and the first question isn't going to kind of knock you sideways, and that'll put you on a back foot for the rest of the interview. So this is just going to cover the actual interview where you're sat down with, it might be the head teacher or a governor, member of SLT, executive head teacher, whoever it's going to be. But this will not cover the part about like the teaching part of the lesson, because obviously that changes per school, what they will ask you to do and what you might be asked to do in that interview with different children depending on where you're going to teach. So we'll just go through some commonly asked questions and the type of responses you might want to give to them. So the first question we're going to have a look at is the one about why do you want to be a teacher? Now, when you get answered this question, you're going to be highlighting the precise reasons why you feel that you are going to be the best suited to being a teacher, what things brought you to be a teacher, and I want you to use examples from your teaching that you've done before. So it could be in a placement, it could be when you've been volunteering in schools. Just be very specific about this. Often people might use kind of a broad term of just, I've always wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to do it since I was little. And while that may be the case, that's probably the case for every single person going to that interview. So this is when you need to pick out something from the offer. It'll often be one of the first questions you get asked. So this can be your chance to really highlight yourself and make yourself stand out from everyone else for a specific reason. So this could be a specific feeling you had when you were teaching a certain topic. This could be that when you were at a placement and something went really well and you were like, right, this is it for me, I've really enjoyed this. You can use to highlight an achievement you've got while you've been teaching as well. So definitely get some specifics in there and say precisely why you want to be a teacher, and not just, well, I've always felt like doing something working with children, because that will just kind of make you blend in with the rest of the people that are attending that interview. And sometimes that can be a lot of people, up to 20. Who knows how many people might be having that interview alongside you. So you definitely want to make yourself stand out here. The next question they might ask you quite early on is a question about why you want to work at that school. So this is a question to kind of check that you've done a bit of research and looked at the school. So before your interview, make sure that you've gone online and you've looked at the website. You might have asked some questions if you did a school visit before the interview, obviously pre-COVID or post-COVID, when that may be. But definitely have some ideas about the school that you think, actually, yep, that really suits me. So this could be about the demographic of the school, this could be about the area of the school, it could be something to do with the national curriculum they follow it. This could be something to do with an after school club, or something that you think is really special to you about that school. So it could be where you grew up, when you might have gone to that school when you were younger. Just something that's really going to highlight you again, to say this person's going to be a real benefit to our school, and they know about what they're talking about. They've had a bit of research, they've put a bit of extra thought into it that someone else might not have. So make yourself stand out and say, yeah, like, I've done the research. I saw on your website that this school has got a certain percentage of children that are pupil premium, or some percentage of children that are FCN, and I've always wanted to work in a school where I can, do my best for those children, and highlight the fact that they can push on as hard as anyone else can and just do absolutely amazing. Something like that. So just show them that you've done your research, you've had to think about it, and that you can push on and do that for that school, and you're going to be a real asset to the team. Another question they could ask is about the trials that you're going to face during your NQT year and how you're going to prepare for them, because the fact is, during your NQT year, there's going to be troubles, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be hard work, and they want to know that you're prepared for that, because obviously they're not going to take someone on to part of the team that they don't think is ready for the challenges they're going to face. So at this point, you can highlight the stuff you've already done, because to get to your NQT year, you've either done a 3-year teacher training course at university, you might have done a 1-year PGCE, you might have done another form of a PGC or a QTS, schools direct training, in for a year. There's all sorts you could have done to get to that point, and definitely going through those will have been hard work, would have taken challenges. So the challenges you've already faced, how did you take them on? How did you approach them? How did you overcome them? Did you face any diversity at that point? What type of things did you do to get around them? Did you work with other people? Highlight those things. And as you can see, guys, 3 questions in, every single question is a chance for you to show off how well you've done. It's not one to say I'm the best, because obviously as going into an NQT position, you've got a lot to learn. 3 years down the line, I've still got so much I want to learn and so much I want to get better at as a teacher. But be proud of what you've done. You've overcome stuff so far. You've got so far to get to an NQT interview. The fact that you're at the interview means something has stood out already. So keep on saying how good you are, how well you've done, and highlight the challenges that you have overcome and show off how well you can do in the future. When they ask about your experience in schools and what experience you have in schools, this is where you can kind of highlight the details that you've not been able to put onto your CV. So on your CV, when you applied for the job, you'll have put on there what you've done in schools and where you've worked. So this is where they can say, right, you've got written down here, you've worked in 3 different schools. What are they? What were the backgrounds of the schools? What were they like? What year groups did you work in? What did you do while you were there? So for me, obviously, when I did my NQT interview, I'd worked in 3 different schools at that point, and I'd also done some volunteering before I started my course. And so I could talk about the different year groups that I worked in. I talked about the different demographics the schools had at there, because some of them were private schools, some of them were state schools. I talked about what I did while I was on my placements and the different levels of teaching that I did. And then you can talk about how you did on your placement. So whether you passed with flying colours, maybe you struggled on the first one, but then you looked at that as a challenge and you said, right, I've struggled there, but I know what I need to work on. And then you can highlight the fact that in your last 2 placements, those bits you struggled with in the first one, you overcome those and you challenged them and you did really well at them. So as always, guys, just turn any place where you've had a challenge into something that you fought and overcome. Show off how well you've done by having that challenge and overcoming it. So yeah, highlight the things you've done on your placements, any special things you might have done, any special trips you did. Definitely just show off how much teaching you've done and how amazing that you might have done it. If it's not all been amazing, then say it's not all been amazing. You don't lie, but say it's not all been amazing, but I know the bits that I did when it wasn't amazing, I worked on them, and then through the next observation, I'd fix those bits. There was always other stuff I could work on, but I worked on it and I did really well. Now, the final question we're going to talk about today, and one of the most important questions that you need to get right on a teaching interview, is the question you might have about safeguarding. So this will include things like who the safeguarding leads are at the school, what a role as a teacher is to make sure children are safe, and generally what is safeguarding, what does it mean? So you can prepare for this by reading the school's safeguarding policy, which will be on their school website, as I'm pretty sure it is a requirement for schools to have their policies on the website, so I'd have to double check that for you guys. But we do need to make sure that you have read that safeguarding policy before you've walked into the school and before you go into that interview, because that will give you all the answers for this case. So the safeguarding is all about keeping children safe, keeping them safe from risk, both at school and being aware of any risk they might be having in their home lives. But the safeguarding needs can change, and you have to look at on the web policy. It will tell you who the safeguarding needs are. And obviously as a teacher, your role is making sure children are safe at all times. So in school, outside of school as best you can, and just making sure that you are there for them if you are needed. You are highlighting any risks that you've been alerted to using the school's policy. You are making sure that you are communicating with the relevant people about those risks that you have seen, and that you are always promoting the fact that children need to live a safe life. You are highlighting that to the children all the time. You're showing that through your own life, and you're leading a safe life and showing that to them. So just make sure that you've read that safeguarding policy and that you show that information that you have read to them when they ask, because it's kind of what they're checking for at this point. They're making sure that you have read it and you are using that. So you could say, well, when I read your safeguarding policy, it said there that your safeguarding lead is, and I could see obviously the definition of safeguarding, which is, you might talk about the keeping the KIPSI document, so it's keeping children safe in education. Talk about that, and obviously the things you've highlighted from that. You could talk and go on to talk about the counter-terrorism strategy that the schools you follow. So definitely use that policy, get that safeguarding policy, make sure you've read it, make sure you highlighted the bits you want to talk about, and then use that in the answer to this question. So we're going to leave that one here, guys. Now, obviously there's a load more questions that you could get asked on a teaching interview, and there will be another video coming out soon. But every Tuesday and every Friday at 5 p.m. a video does come out, so there will be another one, a part 2, and probably a part 3. Definitely, because there is a lot of questions that you could get asked, but hopefully this has helped you. It's given you a few kind of answers that you could do, and make sure that you just go away and do that prep for your interview and walk in with a smile on your face, because that is the biggest thing. You want to show that they want you to be a part of their team. And if you walk in kind of frown or uptight, then it doesn't look so well. So walk in, try and be relaxed, have a smile on your face, talk to them about the things you're passionate about, and good luck, because hopefully you'll find your first NQT post very soon, and then you can get going with your teaching career. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, as always, it really helps if you can comment and just let me know any questions you've got. And if you could subscribe and kind of keep on watching, then that'd be amazing. It's really helpful, and I'm loving doing these videos as always. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you soon.